Hey, good morning. I want to welcome to you guys to this live this morning. I'm excited to be on today. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Um, I'm curious what the weather is around the world. So depending on where you're at, I'm always curious how cold it is or how warm it might be. I'm here in Arizona. Believe it or not, it's actually starting to get a lot warmer than I was hoping. Marikar, how are you? Thank you for being on this morning. Hustle Fashion, Rugged 7, Jamie, thank you. Tsunami Guy, I like your handle. Corpse, Marikar, love it. Matt Morales, thank you so much for hopping on this morning. Fadon, good morning. How are you, Fadon? Um, James, good morning. Sharby, awesome, Marikar, love that. Mr. CMR, thank you for hopping on. Roshio, Lida, Patricia, thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for being on this morning. I love getting on here, and giving people the opportunity to learn so many things that can benefit. And so thank you so much for being on this live. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Troy. I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. I have lived here my whole life. I love it here. The weather, believe it or not, it was 79 degrees yesterday, which is a lot warmer than it should be for this time of year. Like, it should be a lot cooler. And I'm a little nervous as to what this summer might look like, just because it is so much warmer than it should be right now. And so I think this summer is going to be maybe extra hot. If Arizona can actually become extra hot. So, but I'm excited to get on this morning, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that are willing to come and learn. I love getting on here, and what I'm going to be talking about is something that affects over 90% of adults. And believe it or not, but most people don't even know that they have it. But before I really jump into what I want to share, please let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Okay, drop your city or state in the chat, the country. And folks, if your health isn't and hasn't been where you want it to be, stay with me, okay? Because this could be one of the most important conversations that you have this year. I never know if people, when they come on my live, or I just don't get why somebody would make a comment like this. So I'm gonna just remove them. Eastern Connecticut, Fadon, thank you. Tap on the screen. Eastern Connecticut, Texas, love it. And Big Dogs USMC, thank you for the follow. Dr. Heedley, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who is hopping on this live. Okay, I love and appreciate that. I'm really grateful for each and every one of you. Let me make sure that I'm just trying to make sure that you guys have the okay, I'm not exactly sure what is going on here, but we'll just leave it at that. And so appreciate each and every one of you for hopping on. So my name is Troy. Okay, if you know somebody who is struggling with their health, please feel free to share this information with them. And this could be the most important conversation that I think we have. I didn't know what insulin resistance was. I think most people don't know what it is, which is one of the reasons why so many people are struggling with their health. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to share something personal. And I pray that it helps you to avoid some of the mistakes that I've made. Okay. Solomon said in the Bible, in all your gaining, gain understanding. Gaining understanding around how the body actually works completely changed my life, and it can change your life as well. For most of my life, I dealt with a lot of the symptoms. I didn't understand, right? No one ever explained to me that my migraines and, sleep apnea and acid reflux and brain fog, nobody ever told me that, these things were all connected. And Judith, um, let me know if you have any questions about the Feel Great system. And I have a discount right here that gives you 25%. So let me know if you have any questions. And I'm just excited to get on here to share this, right? I struggled with fatigue, weight struggles, and for some of you know, Peter, thank you. Some of you know my story, right? November of 2014, I donated a kidney to my sister's husband. And I'm so grateful for that, right? The opportunity to donate a kidney to my brother-in-law. It was an honor to be able to do that. Um, but again, I didn't know what insulin resistance was, right? Because nobody tells you, right? Most doctors are not talking to their patients about insulin resistance. I think it's important for us to understand why our body reacts the way that it does. I think it's important for us to know what we can do to improve our health that doesn't always rely on a medication or a diet. And I think some people are just getting sick and tired of getting sick and tired. And if that's you, you're in the right place. And some of you might be wondering, well, where can I get this? Okay. And I get that, it's Michael right there with you. Okay. I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease 7 years after donating a kidney. And I reversed it in 5 months of using this system. And this is an absolute godsend. It completely changed my life. And if any one of you at any time is asking where to get this, it's available right here on my TikTok shop. Okay. It's a game changer. Okay. And folks, I didn't know what insulin resistance is. Think about this. Most doctors aren't talking about it. When I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease, my nephrologist said, you need to lose some weight. You need to change your diet. And if you're unwilling to do this, you're going to end up on dialysis. And this scared me. Okay. Meryl's Man Cave, thank you so much for the gift. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. And I'm telling you, what I'm sharing could change your life. If you saw how many text messages that I get from people all over the world that are improving their health using a simple system, it would blow you away. You wouldn't believe that it was true. And so I share this with as many people because I know that this can make an impact. Okay. And if you are somebody who is struggling with your health, okay, you don't have to wait to fix your health. Okay. This is why I get on here to do that. What I eventually learned was something called insulin resistance. And so here's the shocking part about insulin resistance. Most people are never tested for it. Most people don't even know that it's present, right? Because no doctor is talking about it. Okay. Why would a doctor talk about something that can be managed with medications, right? And how many of you feel like your symptoms are either managed, or how many of you really feel like what the doctor is doing for you is actually helping you to fix the root cause? Or do you think they're just managing your symptoms? Okay. I want some honesty. What do you guys think? Okay. You're the ones that are on medications. You're the ones that are, experiencing this with your doctor. I'm curious as to what you think. I've had a lot of close calls with my health. And once I understood what was happening metabolically, everything started to make sense. And sometimes, folks, you've got to be an advocate for your own health. We can't always rely on everything that the doctor is telling us. And I'm not saying I'm not anti-doctor and I'm not anti-medicine. I want you guys to know that. Okay. I am anti-ignoring the root cause. I think it's important for us to understand why we have these health issues. I think it's important for each and every one of you to understand exactly what you can do to start improving your health. And if you're struggling with your health, you don't have to. This is why I do these lives. Okay? Again, I'm not anti-doctor or medicine, but I think it's important for each and every one of you to understand why we have these health issues, be able to connect the dots to what's causing it, and now we can put a game plan to resolve this. But at the end of the day, most people are just diagnosing and treating the symptoms. You can't fix the root cause by doing that. This is not about avoiding doctors or medications. This is about supporting the body alongside medical care, right? These are the foundational strategies that will help consistently improve insulin sensitivity without extreme diets or feeling like you have to have some intense workouts. Peter, I'm not sure what book you're referring to. Okay. And so this is exactly why I teach the Feel Great system. Okay. What I'm sipping on right here happens to be it's a tea that's made from the yerba mate plant that is found in South America, in Argentina and Brazil. Okay. It's purified yerba mate. Okay. It is clinically shown to support your body's own production of GLP-1. It helps you to reduce the cravings. It improves mental clarity. Okay. It makes intermittent fasting easier, right? How many of you struggle with fasting? Okay. How many of you have ever tried fasting? Okay. Fasting is honestly one of the quickest ways to get your insulin levels under control. You know, I kind of want to put this up here. I get a lot of people that want to ask. So give me a second here while I get this up here. Let me grab something, folks. Can I keep this? I think it is important for people to understand why we have these health issues. Okay. If you look at this, okay, and once again, 93% of people have insulin resistance. Okay. Insulin resistance causes cravings, headaches. It causes sleep apnea, diabetes. Okay. How many of you have type 1 diabetes? How many of you have type 2 diabetes? How many of you have ever heard of type 3 diabetes? Okay. Type 3 diabetes happens to be insulin resistance of the brain of an adult. Okay. So, how many of you know somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia? Okay. This is a big deal. Okay. There's a lot of people that are affected by this, and most people honestly have no idea that they even have it. And here's the part that I want you guys to understand is that insulin resistance is silent. It's quiet. You don't even know that it's happening. Most people don't know that they even have it until they're sitting across from their doctor and their doctor is blindsiding them with a disease, right? And by the way, this fire, because that's what I consider insulin resistance, I think it's a fire that's burning out of control, okay? That fire has been burning out of control for a really long time. And most people just don't know about it. Chris, okay, this product changed my life. It helped me to reverse stage 4 kidney disease. Over the past 2 years, okay, I've been using this system since January of 2024, and I have focused on improving my insulin sensitivity, my energy, my labs. The quality of life has changed in ways that I didn't expect. This is why I do these lives. Okay, I do these lives not to scare people, but to give people information that I wish that I had earlier. Okay, how many of you are sick and tired of going to the doctor and your doctor's just, maybe recommending another medication, or maybe they're upping the dosage of the medication that you have? And here's something that surprised me, okay? When cholesterol is elevated, medication is often discussed first. Have you noticed that when you go to a doctor? That's what they typically, discuss first is the medication. And for many people, Peter, right, medication is helpful and necessary. And I'm talking about this product. I'm talking about a simple chlorogenic acid tea with the yerba mate plant, okay? And I'm talking about a diversified plant fiber, right, that was created by Rexall Drugs. Folks, most of us, when we go to a doctor, we are just throwing medications at our symptoms. You cannot fix the root cause of insulin resistance with medications. See, I think what most people lack is that most people aren't told that nutrition and metabolic health play a major role in our health. And far too often, we are just throwing medications. Folks, one of the most interesting things that I came across was a clinical study that was done on the system. It was supported by the Cleveland Clinic, which happens to be the #1 heart hospital in the world. There was a study done by the Cleveland Clinic, and they took 119 hyperlipidemia patients, and they gave half this fiber and they gave the other half a placebo. And in the conclusion of their study, they determined that if people use this on a regular basis, that it would decrease cardiovascular disease on a population basis, and it would end the need for lipid-lowering medications. Folks, there is over 1 billion people globally on a statin medication. And this is the only clinically proven, patented, natural alternative to statin drugs. How many of you are on metformin or Ozempic? This tea does the exact same things as those medications, but without any side effects. Right? Now, how many of you actually have a doctor that is sharing with you how to fix the root cause? I want you guys to understand that you can fix and you can reverse the symptoms of insulin resistance without the need for medications or diets. Folks, I'm living proof that you can resolve all of this. Now, here's why this conversation matters. This conversation matters because in the United States, over 90% of adults are metabolically unhealthy. Think about this. They are unhealthy, right? Folks, if you know somebody who's struggling, go ahead and share this live with them so that people can ask questions. They can be a part of this. I think it's important to understand, again, why we have these health issues, but most importantly, what can we do to improve this? Your body is not broken, folks. The problem is that when we go to a doctor, most doctors are just diagnosing and treating the symptoms. They never teach you how to fix the root cause, but why would they? Why would they teach you? Peter, I don't know that you're understanding what I'm saying. This is not medication. This is made from plants and food. It's a tea and a fiber, right? It's natural. It is just as effective and often works better than the medications that are often prescribed by doctors. Seriously, most people, when you go to a doctor, that's all they're doing is putting you on medications. Peter, I'm sorry, but I've got to remove you from this live. Folks, the bottom line is, for the most part, that's all we are, is medicated. You can't fix the root cause of insulin resistance with medication. Medication treats the symptoms, right? You're masking the symptoms. You cannot put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. You've got to address the environment inside of our bodies, not just the symptoms that you and I are experiencing. And the problem is far too many of us, okay? And folks, if you're struggling with health issues like kidney disease, or you've recently been diagnosed with, erectile dysfunction, or high triglycerides, or high cholesterol, or high blood pressure, we've got, again, we have to understand what's causing this. Right? When we go to a doctor, are they helping you to understand why? Are they helping you to understand what's causing your high A1C, right? When was the last time that your doctor is actually helping you to understand what's causing these health issues, right? See, from my perspective, it seems like most doctors, right, they're treating the symptoms. And that's what doctors do. They diagnose and treat the symptoms, okay? Folks, 93% of the United States population has insulin resistance. This is a big deal. Most people have no idea. It's crazy. Folks, insulin is a hormone that acts like a key to unlock your cells so that your body can use the energy. There's only 2 stages of life where you want to be insulin resistant, and that is puberty and pregnancy, because it helps you grow during these stages. But after that, too much insulin becomes a major problem. Think about this, right? How many of you have ever cooked a chicken? Okay, how many of you have ever cooked a chicken in the oven? You notice that it goes from pink to brown, right? You can see this when it's cooking. And that process of cooking is called glycation. And Nicole, let me know if you have any questions in regards to the product. And I'm putting a discount up here. Make sure to use this, okay? I don't know why it keeps showing us Feel Great Joe, but the discount up here, okay, use that code when you're checking out. It's going to give you 25% off. Okay? See, when you put a chicken in the oven and it goes from pink to brown, the same thing happens when you put a piece of toast in the toaster, right? The interesting thing is that the human being, from the moment that we're born, we're slowly cooking in that same way on the inside. Think about this. We're slowly browning. And then when we're fully glycated, I guess you could say, when we're fully cooked, that's when we die, right? Have you ever noticed that when you look at the cartilage of a baby, it's white, and if you look at the cartilage of somebody who's 90 years old, it's brown, okay? They've cooked on the inside, right? In a sense. And every glucose spike that we have, it increases the process of glycation. Okay? It sounds like a similar word, glucose, glycation, right? It's because glucose is doing the glycation inside your body. So every glucose spike increases medication, it increases cooking, okay? It accelerates aging. And this starts to show on your skin, right? You get wrinkles faster. How many of you, look older than you really are? How many of you are getting wrinkles faster? Okay. Guess what? Your organs are also going through the same process. Okay. Now, why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because half of us have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And chronic conditions like obesity and cardiovascular disease and autoimmune disorders, they're skyrocketing. And it's not just physical health, folks. It's infertility. It's PCOS. It's mental health. They're all linked to one thing. Every single one of those things I just mentioned are caused by one thing: insulin resistance. And you want to know what's frustrating, ladies and gentlemen? What's frustrating is that we are often throwing medications at our symptoms without ever fixing the root cause. My goal is to help change that today. I don't care what you're struggling with when it comes to your health, because you can fix it. You can reverse it. How many of you know somebody who is struggling with infertility? How many of you know somebody who's struggling to have a family? There was a doctor, he's passed away now, but his name is Dr. Francis Pottinger. And he loved cats. He absolutely loved cats. And he did a study with cats. And he fed cats 3 different types of food. He fed one group raw meat, one group raw milk, and he fed the third group boxed foods. The processed stuff that you and I eat today. And what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is that the cats that were eating the boxed foods, they had major health issues. They were hungry all the time. Okay? They developed cholesterol issues, blood pressure issues. And here's the crazy part, is that in 3 generations of these cats eating the boxed foods, the processed food, guess what? Only a third of those cats could reproduce and make babies. But the cats that were eating the raw meat and the raw milk, they were perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. This is why it is so important for you to understand exactly what's going on inside of your body so that we can fix it. No. Stop. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I have a kitten, or I guess she's 2 years old now, but she just wants to attack everything. She wants to attack the couch, the blinds. So, folks, the majority of people around you, I mean, think about this. If you and I went to a family reunion, okay, you've got both sides of the family there, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, you've got your kids there, your siblings there. Folks, how many people there at the family reunion are struggling with their health? Think about this for a second. And let me ask you this. If you had a solution, and Rugged 7, thank you for the follow. If you had a solution to the biggest health problem in the world, who would you share it with? And user 153, let me know if you have any questions. The discount for this product, this gives you 25%, this discount code, okay? Just feed it with me and just okay? So last week, 11, I'm not sure the comments. Ice cream, cold board. I'm not really sure the comments that people are making. I think there's a lot of people that are missing the point on what I'm doing on this live. Folks, my goal when I come on this, and Cody, you're absolutely right. Okay. So here's what I can tell you. Okay. What I help people with is a natural alternative to the medications that are often prescribed, right? These are medications that are often prescribed for weight, for blood pressure, for cholesterol. Okay. How many of you who's diabetic, how many of you are on metformin? Okay. If you happen to be, and by the way, this happens to be the competition right here. Let me share this with you. Okay. This happens to be the competition. How many people do you know are on any one of these? And by the way, if you are considering bariatric, just understand that there are a lot of side effects. Okay. And it's dangerous. But I'm just curious as to how many of you are on any one of these. If you wouldn't mind taking a second, put that in your chat, in the chat. Folks, 93% of people have insulin resistance. The majority have no idea that insulin resistance is at the root cause of their health issues. And most of us are walking around on a bunch of medications. The medications that doctors often prescribe have a lot of side effects. What I love about this system is that we are the only company in the world that has a natural product that Barbie the Dream Horse, thank you for the follow. We are the only company in the world that has these two natural products. It's called the Feel Great system because it makes you feel great. It is just as effective and often works better than the medications that are often prescribed. There's no side effects. There is no contraindications with this system. Folks, you could use it even if you're on a bunch of medications. It is safe. It works. And if you are looking for a natural alternative, folks, you just found it. I really wish that I would have known about this system 21 years ago. My dad passed away early. My brother was 33 years old when unfortunately he passed away. And I wish that I could have known about something like this that could have made the biggest difference. You don't have to wait to fix your health. Folks, this will help you no matter what place you are in your life. Your doctor, by the way, can actually look this up. Your doctor can look this up in the physician's desk reference. And if you don't know what the PDR.net is, this is what doctors use when they prescribe meds. There's no side effects to this. If anything, it helps people to get off their meds. Think about this. In the United States, we are seeing rising rates of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, autoimmune conditions. I mean, it almost seems like everyone is affected by these issues. So let's talk about the solutions. And the first step is understanding your symptoms, right? We've got to understand and connect the dots. Once we do that, we can start to find real solutions. If any of these symptoms resonates with you, I want you to put the number 1 in the chat, okay? How many of you have skin issues, skin tags, psoriasis, eczema. Okay. How many of you have the dark patches of skin around your armpits or your midsection? Okay. How many of you have stubborn weight, especially around your midsection, that won't budge no matter what it is that you do? And if you're struggling to lose that extra weight, the reason why is because your insulin levels are high. When insulin levels are high, okay, it is a fat storing hormone. Until you manage this, losing that belly fat is going to be really tough. What about high blood pressure and high cholesterol? Okay, how many of you are struggling with that? These are both linked to insulin resistance, but guess what your cardiologist is likely to do? Well, first and foremost, they're not going to teach you how to fix it. They're most likely going to put you on more medications. Rarely do they ever talk about fixing the root cause so that your blood pressure and your cholesterol can normalize naturally. Okay, migraine headaches, aches and pains. Okay, what about inflammation like plantar fasciitis, bursitis, colitis? What about lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, Crohn's disease, right? Autoimmune issues that people have. It almost seems as if everyone I come in contact with is struggling with these health issues. And for each and every one of you that is looking at that Feel Great system, it's in the TikTok shop, right? You can get it here. Make sure to enter one of these codes that will give you 25% off. Folks, I had migraine headaches for 23 years. I had a weight that no matter what I did, I just couldn't lose it. I had acid reflux, I had brain fog, I had anxiety, depression, I had sleep apnea. And the reality is that every doctor I went to just wanted to put me on another med. And here's the part that no one wants to tell you, folks. If I have IBS and migraines and cholesterol, and I go to 3 different doctors, okay, you guys realize that you're going to pay 3 different copays. You're going to pay a copay to every doctor you go to. And you're going to walk out with at least 3 different medications, and not one of those meds even touches the real root cause of your health issues. Folks, all they're doing is managing the numbers, the symptoms. But the moment you come off those meds, what do you think happens to the symptoms that we have? They all come back. What if, instead of chasing the symptoms, we just tackled the one thing that's causing them all? That would make the most sense, right? But that's what we are not doing in our healthcare system. For most of you, all we're doing is we're throwing medications at our symptoms, but that's like having a leak in your ceiling and you're putting a bucket to catch the water, but you're never fixing the roof. We've got to address the environment inside of our body, not just the symptoms, folks. Does that make sense? How many of you have hypoglycemia? How many women watching this have PCOS? Or men have erectile dysfunction or low testosterone? These are all caused by one thing. Now, let me ask you this. How many of us were taught to eat 3 meals a day and to snack 2 to 3 times throughout the day? That eating pattern, folks, that eating pattern is why we are so sick. Folks, if any of these sound familiar to you, you're not alone. I have helped hundreds of people around the world completely get their health back. Your body's not broken. You're not lazy, okay? When insulin is high, fat storage is on. When insulin comes down, this is when the healing begins inside your body. And what I love about this system is it's not magic. but it does help to improve insulin sensitivity. It detoxes your liver, right? It nourishes your microbiome, which is where 80% of your immune system is. And it's a way to finally address the root cause. And folks, if this resonated with you, don't wait to fix your health. Okay? If you're asking where to get this, it's available right here in the TikTok shop. And there's a discount here that gives you 25% off. And if you purchase it here during my live, you get my personal usage guide. You get my insulin reset framework. Okay? You get ongoing support from me. Folks, this could change your life. This is why people choose TikTok shop even if it costs a little bit more. You don't have to wait to fix your health. Folks, I wish I knew about this 20 years ago. This is the easiest, safest, most natural thing that you will ever find on the face of the earth that actually works with your body, not against it. Folks, I really wish I knew about this 21 years ago. My dad would still be here. My brother would still be here. You don't have to wait to fix your health. I'm so grateful that my friend shared this with me. You know, I started using this protocol back in January of 2024. In the first month and a half, I'd lost 32 pounds. My migraine headaches that I had for 23 years went away in the very first week. Acid reflux, brain fog, anxiety, depression, sleep apnea, all of these things started to improve. I didn't overhaul my diet, okay? I didn't change my workouts. In fact, I probably go to the gym less now than I did when I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. All I did was I wake up, I sip on this first thing in the morning, it shuts the food noise off. I skip breakfast, okay? If you love breakfast as much as I do, consider having it for lunch or for dinner. And instead of having breakfast, go a few hours, right? Push that first meal back a little bit. Guys, your body actually runs better when you're not eating first thing in the morning. And for those of you that are looking at the system, make sure that you are putting the discount, okay? Make sure that you're putting that discount code. It's case sensitive, by the way. Make sure it's all capitalized letters. Miss Eddie, okay, let me know if you have any questions on the system. I've been using this for 2 years. I will never stop using it. I will use it to the day I'm no longer here. It has literally saved my life, right? Over the past 2 years, I have focused on improving insulin sensitivity. Everything's changed, folks. And here's again why this conversation matters, because over 90% of people in the United States are metabolically unhealthy. Think about this. Nearly 3 out of 4 adults are overweight or obese. 2 out of 4 kids are overweight or obese. And more than half of our entire country is diabetic or pre-diabetic. We're even seeing some of these diseases show up earlier in kids and teens, right? It's something that we didn't see 50 years ago, 40 years ago. This isn't personal failure. It is a metabolic environment problem. You know, you notice that how the Bible says that no good tree bears bad fruit. Okay? Folks, the fruit is high cholesterol. It is fatigue. It is blood pressure. It is blood sugar issues. It is hormone problems. But the root cause very often is insulin resistance. And if we never address the root, the fruit keeps coming back. And I want you guys to understand, as I'm talking, I want you to think about your own health, right? Drop a 1 in the chat if your energy or your weight has been a struggle. If that's been something that you've been dealing with for a long time, put a 1 in the chat. If your cholesterol or your blood pressure has been something that your doctor has mentioned to you, put a number 2 in the chat. And drop a 3 in the chat if your blood sugar, if your cravings, or if you feel like you're having energy crashes throughout the day, okay? Number 1, you're not alone, you're not broken, okay? What I do is I walk people through 2 simple things that you can start to do and incorporate into your daily routine that literally helps you to reverse insulin resistance. Far too often, again, all we're doing is we're throwing medications at our symptoms, but they don't fix the root cause. You can't fix metabolic health with meds. You can't. But you can do it with fasting and diets, right? Right. And when I say diets, what I'm talking about, we're not talking about eating less, folks. We're talking about eating less often. You know, the majority of us have been told that, you know, we're supposed to eat 3 meals a day and we're supposed to snack throughout the day. Well, guess what? How is that working out for us? The majority of our country is overweight or obese. We are a country that is just highly medicated, right? That's the first thing that doctors want to do is diagnose and put us on meds. And I'm not anti-medicine. I am not anti-doctor. I am anti-ignoring the root cause. The reality is that when insulin stays high for too long, what happens is that your cells become resistant to this. Here's what happens every single time you and I eat. When you and I eat food, especially sugar and carbs, it causes your blood sugar to spike. And when it causes your blood sugar to spike, your body releases a hormone called insulin, right? Your pancreas is secreting this hormone. And what that insulin does is it acts like an Uber driver. Okay, if you've ever gotten into a cab or an Uber or a Lyft, okay, think of insulin like an Uber driver. It goes and it picks up the glucose out of your bloodstream and it tries to drop it off at your cells, right? Normally, your cells would be okay with this. This is how we get our energy, right? This is the energy that powers your brain, energy that powers your organs, right? But what happens when you and I are eating all day long, guess what? Your insulin is high. Folks, you could be eating clean. You could be eating 1 to 2 meals a day, and you can still have a hard time losing that weight. How many of you have the skin tags, the psoriasis? You could go to the dermatologist. You could have the skin tags removed, but guess what? They're going to keep coming back and keep coming back until you decide to fix the root cause. This is why it's so important, again, to understand what's happening inside of our bodies. Most of the symptoms that you and I have are being treated separately. Someone may receive a medication for blood pressure. Another one will receive a different one for cholesterol, right? Another one for blood sugar. And the reality is that they're never addressing the root cause of the health issues. How many of you are on metformin and statins and Ozempic or tirzepatide or right? There's a lot of these different medications. And at the end of the day, we have a solution to the biggest problem in the world, and hardly anybody knows about it. Folks, this has been around for over 30 years, and hardly anybody knows about it, right? This is called the Unimate, okay? This is a tea that you're sipping on all day long, okay? This is a fiber that was created by Rexall Drugs back in the late 80s, early 90s. Okay, we need fiber. And Ren, thank you so much for the heart me. Our body needs fiber. We're not getting enough of it. See, fiber is what helps slows down your digestion. It's what helps slow down the absorption of the sugar and the carbs from the foods that you and I eat. So when we're eating all the time, this is why you're tired, right? You get that blood sugar high and then it comes crashing down, and that causes you to eat more, right? We're tired, so we go and we get more coffee or energy drinks. And how many of us are having the coffee that is full of sugar and creams? Right? I used to drink coffee all the time. Had no idea that that was wreaking havoc on your body. And folks, if that is the first thing that you are doing first thing in the morning, do you guys realize that you are completely wrecking the rest of your day metabolically? If we start our day with what, right? They told us breakfast was the most important meal of the day, right? That we're supposed to start our day with a bowl of cereal, a glass of orange juice. Okay. You guys realize that if that's how you are starting your day, if you ever get tired and you're wondering why, that's why. Right? Think about the foods that we eat. How many of you have been told to move more and eat less, right? They call this the calories in, the calories out approach. Let me break this down real quick. If I'm eating 1,500 calories a day and I'm going to the gym and I'm burning 2,000 calories a day, that would be a 500 calorie deficit each day, right? And if I do this every day for a week, that's 3,500 calories. That is equivalent to 1 pound of fat loss. Now, folks, if I did this every week, if I weighed 200 pounds, I don't, but if I did, and if I did this for the next 200 weeks, would I end up weighing 0 pounds? Of course not, because our body is a lot smarter than simple math. When you think of every carbohydrate that exists in nature, like an apple, a rice, wheat, sugarcane, it all comes wrapped in fiber. Remember, fiber is like putting on a protective coat. It protects you. It keeps you safe. But when we have foods like a glass of orange juice or a glass of apple juice, you guys realize all that is sugar and water. And if that's what we're doing to have start our day, you are literally blowing up your blood sugar like a rocket. And it'll come crashing down, which causes you to be tired or hungry. How many of you, the moment you just eat, you've just eaten a meal and now you're already thinking about your next meal? Happens all the time. Tisha, good morning. Thank you for your text. I appreciate that. Thank you for the reminder. Folks, I want you guys to understand that you can improve the quality of your health without the need for medications or diets. I'm living proof that you can reverse stage 4 kidney disease. I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease 7 years after donating a kidney. And the reality, folks, is that most people are experiencing the warning signs of insulin resistance long before you are ever diagnosed with diabetes. How many of you have the excess belly fat? How many of you have the constant cravings, right? How many of us are craving sugar and salt, especially late at night? How many of you are eating throughout the day? Have you guys ever wondered why when you go to a restaurant, okay? When you go to a restaurant, do you guys ever notice that they bring you chips or bread to start your meal? It's not because they're trying to be nice. It's because they know that the moment you start to eat that, it's going to spike your blood sugar. And 20 or 30 minutes later, it's going to come crashing down. It's going to cause you to eat more. I'm living proof that you can fix and you can improve insulin resistance without the need for meds or diets. Guys, there's a reason why this is listed in the PDR.net. It's the physician's desk reference. This is what doctors use when they are prescribing medications. And this is just as effective and often works better than the medications that are often prescribed. For those of you that are diabetic, Your doctor probably has you on metformin. What I'm sipping on happens to be a natural metformin. It does the same thing. It shuts the food noise off. It decreases your cravings. It's clinically proven to lower your total cholesterol, your triglycerides, your LDL. It lowers your A1C. It increases your HDL. This is a natural statin. Folks, there's 5 patents on it. It can't be copied. You can't just go to your local supermarket. You can't go to your drugstore, pharmacy. You can't get this anywhere but the manufacturer. This fiber was created by Rexall Drugs. Some of you might remember Rexall. Some of you might have relatives that used to work for Rexall. Rexall used to be the biggest drugstore in the world. And the reason why they created this blend of plant-based fibers, they created it for 2 reasons. Number one, because our food industry was taking fiber out of our food. You guys realize that back in the 60s into the 80s, the food industry started intentionally removing fiber out of our food. And they did this to increase the shelf life of the food. I want you to remember something. When the shelf life of your food goes up, your lifespan and your blood sugar control, it goes down. Folks, I love talking about this. Fasting is so important. Okay, fiber is the second step. Fasting, right? I have this on the board here. Fasting, fiber, and having the right tools. This is the tool that I use, the Feel Great system. It is exactly why I teach the Feel Great system. You know, there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Robert Lustig. He wrote a book called Metabolical. And you know what's interesting? He said that the #1 fast food restaurant in the world is not what you think it is. If I was to ask you that question, I would imagine that the majority of you would say McDonald's is the #1 fast food restaurant in the world. He said it is our public schools food system. It's crazy, isn't it? Folks, I want you to know, I love getting on here and sharing this because this is making an impact in so many people's lives. And here's what I love the most about this system, especially to those of you that are wondering if it really works. It comes with a 90-day, 100% money back guarantee. Folks, if this doesn't work, you just get your money back. If you're curious where to get this, you can get this right here in the TikTok shop. Folks, if you decide, use the discount here, right? It comes with a 25% discount. Any one of these codes, okay, you see Feel Great, the Phil GTROY, it's case sensitive, so make sure you put in capital letters, but you want to use that, okay, when you're checking out. It will reduce your cost by 25%. Folks, it does cost a little bit more on TikTok, right? Folks, I wish I knew about this 21 years ago. How many of you, when you go to a doctor, it just seems like every time you go to your doctor, they're diagnosing and they're trying to put you on another medication. How many of you have high cholesterol? How many of you have rejected your doctor multiple times because they just want to put you on a statin? There's over 1 billion people with a B, billion with a B, that are on a statin. We have the only clinically proven natural alternative to statin drugs. And by the way, hardly anybody even knows about the system because at the end of the day, most doctors are not talking about insulin resistance. They're not teaching you how to fix the root cause. Hi, Charlie. Charlie, come here. This is Charlie. Hi, Charlie. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? She's a sweetheart. Can be. When she's not trying to attack the other cat. Hi. Hi. What are you doing? He's so sweet. Hi, baby. Come here. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Um, I have been using this system for 2 years. Um, well, goodbye, Commissioner. You're gone. Okay. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay. Um, okay, I do, but you ignore me. Light spiritual warrior. I'm not exactly sure what your question is. Okay. Bring me in. Let me. Okay. Okay. Bye. Okay. I'm not sure who that individual was, but it looked like they wanted to come into the TikTok live, and um, so I've removed them from this live. So I'm not exactly sure, folks. I just want you guys to understand. At the end of the day, you don't have to. The reality is that most of us are struggling with our health. You don't have to wait to fix your health. You can improve it without the need for meds, without crazy diets, and without feeling like you have to go and do 2 a days at the gym. Get over there. Most people literally have no idea. And wait, why number? I'm not exactly sure. And by the way, make sure when you're checking out to put this code to give you 25% discount. Okay. Crazy J says, I don't work out. I'm on my feet almost all day. I don't sit down even. I'm at the house. Okay. I get that. I know that there's some people, especially depending on the job that they're in, right? There's a lot of business owners that I have that work from home and they're on their feet all the time. Robert Herr, good morning. Freddie, thank you for that. I appreciate you. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have to be on their feet all day. And, this can certainly cause a lot of stress on the body as well. Good morning, Miji. And folks, I have just a couple more minutes and then I've got to hop off. But I want you guys to understand that you can fix, okay? Think about this, okay? Insulin resistance is like a fire that is burning out of control, okay? If all we do is throw medications at our symptoms, we're not fixing the root cause, okay? We are managing it. And how many of you feel like what the doctor is recommending to you is helping you to fix the root cause? Or do you feel like they're just managing your symptoms? Okay, at the end of the day, okay, you don't have to wait to fix it, okay? So many of us, let me put this in right? This is kind of what's going on, right? This is the root of a lot of today's health struggles. And far too often, we can prescribe a different medication for every single one of those symptoms. But again, it doesn't fix the root cause, folks. We've got to address the environment in our bodies, right? Pay attention to what your body's telling you, just like you would to the check engine light that's coming on in your car. If I'm driving down the road and the check engine light comes on, we're either going to look at it and take care of it, or we find somebody that we know and trust that can do it for us. But how many of you have been told to start your day with food and you're eating literally every hour to 2 hours, right? It's interesting. There's a lot of nutritionists and dietitians that tell their clients to move more, right? That you're supposed to eat all these small meals to keep your metabolism high. And believe it or not, that advice that we were given back in the 90s is part of the reason why 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy. It's crazy to think that 93% of a country is sick. Think about this. If you and I are in a classroom with 100 students, That means that 93 students out of the 100 are failing the class. How many of you would really love to sign up for that class? At the end of the day, all we're doing is we're masking our symptoms. We have a solution to the problem of insulin resistance, and hardly no one knows about it. And this is why I get on here and do these lives every day, because I think it's important to understand, number one, why we're having these health issues, but most importantly, what are some things that you and I can start doing to improve our health, right? Insulin resistant causes weight issues, skin tags, belly fat, diabetes, kidney disease, heart disease, liver disease. Okay. Comedy villain. I'm not exactly here, but 93% didn't follow the advice in the 90s. So why is it, if 93% didn't follow the advice in the 90s, that 93% of people in the United States are metabolically unhealthy? Please help me to understand why that number is so high. If 93% of people didn't follow the advice that we were told to eat 3 meals a day, snack 2 to 3 times throughout the day, comedy villain, goodbye. At the end of the day, folks, this is why so many of us are sick. Folks, I've got just a couple minutes and then I've got to hop off. But how many of you are struggling with these health issues? Okay. I'm living proof that we can fix and we can improve these symptoms without the need for meds or diets or crazy exercise. And if this resonates with you, if it sounds like what you've been looking for, you don't have to wait, folks. Right? This Feel Great system, it works. It comes with a 90-day money back guarantee. If it doesn't work, you just get your money back. We are the only company in the world that has 2 natural products that are listed in the same physician's desk reference that works without the need for meds or diets. It works, folks. And if you're looking for something, you just found it, okay? By the way, if you have a doctor that is talking to you about insulin resistance, hold on to them. Because the sad reality is that most doctors are not talking about the one thing that can improve your health. And Ricky, thank you so much. Your doctor can actually look this up in the physician's desk reference, and they can see all of the clinical studies. It has been studied by more than 24 institutions, the Cleveland Clinic, BYU in Provo, Utah, right? Stanford, UCLA, UNLV, Columbia University. Folks, it works. If you're looking for something, you just found it, okay? I really do appreciate each and every one of you for hopping on this live. I hope that you guys have an amazing day. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know. I'll stay on this live for a few minutes. If you've got any questions on the Feel Great system, please let me know. I'm happy to address it. But